Afternoon. You're listening to Damita Chatman on Take a Stand, WCEG Network, where we speak life into the community. Listeners on all the platforms, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Roku Television, Apple TV. Go to the Apple Store. Whatever is said today, this is disclaimer. It is the guest and the host views, not the producer. So anything that is said, don't even blame it on school board. Contact me. My name is Damita Chatman. I want to thank Kimberly Dove for coming today and Katie Gregory for taking the call. I told them we're going to do this. We're going to be comfortable. And we're going to just talk about the school board. First, I want to give, since Kimberly Dove has been here, I'm going to give Katie Gregory a minute to introduce herself.
Thank you. I appreciate first. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate being invited. And again, it's always fun to partner with Kim and learn from her. It has been such a great experience so far on the board. So like you said, I started with the school board in January. I was appointed to fulfill the remainder of Ms. Gail Dean's term. I have lived in Hapeville for about 15 years. We love it. We love our small community. We love our schools. Both of mine I still have one who's still at Hapeville Elementary, but that was kind of my start into the school community. When we first moved here, I got involved with the city and did fun things and city planters, worked on the Main Street Committee, and did things to improve the city. And then of course, when I had kids, I swapped that focus over and started being the involved parent and got involved in the school governance council and PTA and started doing all of that. And then when this opportunity came up, I was just excited to be able to kind of broaden that outreach and work with all the schools in South County, in Hapeville, College Park, and East Point, which is part of my district. And then my district also goes up to Sandy Springs. And so it's been really great getting involved up there and knowing those families and those kids. I love, as I say, my district is kind of the hug around the city of Atlanta. I'm the only split district. And I recently learned that Fulton County is the largest non-contiguous district in the US. So I get that good middle section. But it's a great opportunity to kind of see and hear from constituents in multiple areas and see how Fulton County schools are doing in a variety of locations and spaces and families. So it has been a great experience so far.
Thank you, Katie. Kim.
Marvelous Monday, everyone. It's so glad to be here again. I am Kimberly Dove, the board president of Fulton County Schools, and I've served on the board since 2017. I have the pleasure of being on the board with 6 amazing women, including Ms. Gregory, and I serve on Vice President Katha Stewart, Francesca Warren, Lily Pazadic, Dr. Michelle Moranzi, and Kristen McCabe. I say that because this year, in January, we started with 4 new board members. So 4 board members retired with over 25 years experience, almost each, right? So I'm excited to work with this board. We've had a great year so far, and we look forward to continuing to make success in Fulton County Schools.
Thank you. I'm gonna piggyback on something you said, because you say you started with 4 new board members. And right now, tell me, how did that work? Because right now in this election, they're trying to do all new board members. So tell me, how did you adjust with 4 new people, Kimberly, coming aboard?
In the school system, it was really easy. And I say that wholeheartedly because every board member that's on the board serves for children. We stay in the middle. We focus on what's best for kids. And each one of them, whether they serve in Alpharetta or Milton or Sandy Springs or Roswell or Chattahoochee Hills, we all serve Fulton County Schools. So for us, it has been a pleasure. We started early in January with what are our norms, right? What are some things we want to be known for? And we'll share with you some of the good news that has happened just so far.
Okay, good. Well, let me go. And I told them that we were going to be comfortable and I wasn't going to call them by their last names. So Katie, let me ask you this. you come from Hateville,
Mhm.
so you have that clustered also over there in East Point. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
You
So
have
Tri-City.
You have Tri-City.
Mhm.
So tell me how has it been for you? This is your first, I say, 6 months. Could have been longer, but how was it the first 6 months working on the board?
Well, and I think, the common expression everybody uses talking about like drinking from a fire hose, and it felt like drinking from like 4 fire hoses. um, but it is, and I will say back to your statement about 4 new members. I don't know how we could have had a better board of everyone has a thoughtful response and a compassionate heart. And like Kim said, trying to do the best for kids. So to go into these schools and see, I think that was probably my most exciting part of just going into all of the schools to see what's going on and the kids and teachers and watch those little faces as they're like, oh, that everybody wants to say the answer. And then just talked with the principals. I mean, we know we're real about the challenges that we know we're facing. We are doing amazing things in amazing places, but we want to keep that moving forward. So to be out there and be in the schools and see the teachers and hear from the principals, as well as then look at it from our board perspective of how is that policy that we're talking about supporting this? We always want policy to be the guide rails and things that help everybody stay in the right places. We don't ever want something to just be a barrier, right? We want open and we want to move it forward, and we want everybody to be in the best place so that these kiddos that are amazing right now will continue to be amazing, productive citizens in our counties. So I think the most exciting part for me is just getting into those schools and seeing, and like I said, then getting a whole new area as well of going up. But in this side, these are the kids we play community baseball with. These are the kids we see. And if I have my kids with me, every kid at the grocery store and all the places, they have more friends than I do. So it's been great just to get out and see those schools and see what's going on. Just to see more of our neighbors and more of the community. We run into everybody in the restaurants at the break pad or wherever we happen to be out when I don't want to cook dinner. So it's fun to see and to affect that as well.
Okay, great. Kimberly, I was looking and you have about 10,900 full-time and about 6,900 wait, let me see. You got 10,900 full-time and you got 6,000, I'm sorry, and 900 teachers. Tell me, what do you expect out of your teachers, and what do you guys bring to the table to get more teachers into Fulton County?
That's a good one. So,
I always come off the top of my head.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I expect of our educators is to come to work every day ready to teach our students, and that they can learn, they can exceed their expectations, and to have high expectations for them. But the truth of the matter is that educators are hard to come by today. They were hard to come by before the pandemic. And now after the pandemic, it's even harder. But Dr. Looney and our chief amazing human resource officers have been doing a fantastic job. We are at a 95% fill rate. We've been doing an excellent job. We've been looking inside our district as well as outside of our district. We've been looking to partner internationally with teachers who can come in as well. But we're not falling short of the fact that we know we have a shortage of math educators. And I'm in math and science career myself. And as I look to leaders around the world, they're always asking, can school districts put more math and science into school, and for children to be able to do it with fidelity? They want to be able to master those skills so that when they go to college, they actually can excel. So those are just some of the things that I think of.
Okay, before y'all start telling me about the good old things, let me kind of clear something up, and you can explain, Kimberly, and I can bounce back to Katie. We have people that is misled about their property tax. And majority of your money that you pay on property tax goes to the school board. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Could you kind of explain and kind of give people, what that money used for and where it goes?
Yeah, I think most people may know where it goes, but it goes towards over 90% of our budget is around teachers, salaries, and staff, but that's any agency, any company, your highest rate is around your staffing. Also, we spend money around our excellent programs. We have the Science of Reading, we have ACT. So Fulton County Schools, we pay for our students to take the ACT test. We pay for them to take the SAT test, as well as we provide tutoring for them to excel in that way also. We also provide our students with industry-wide certifications, whether it's cosmetology, construction, aviation, the low level. We also provide them with FAA drone certification. So some of our children are able to earn a living with drones in the industry of real estate. So they'll use the drone to go take images of a property and they use that. So those are just some of the few things that happens. Where I think most of the community gets a little confused is about the millage rate itself, right? So they may hear that a millage rate is up or down. Our millage rate is one of the lowest in the metropolitan school district area, but it does cost a lot in order to educate our students. And then the other part is through your city and the Fulton County government and what those taxes are. So combined, your total tax is your tax bill. So most of the time, if you're in a school system, you want to make sure that you know the person who's responsible for putting programs in your school system and making sure that that our students can learn and can earn more than just a wage, but a livable wage outside of high school, especially in the areas that I serve. I serve some of the areas that are low economically, as well as have some of the community challenges in which we see around the airport.
Okay.
And I'm sure Ms. Gregory has something to add.
You want to add?
She's been waiting patiently. I saw you.
You want to add to that?
I do. I just want, because as Ms. we get used to very formality on the board. So I apologize to not keep up with. As Kim was saying, so that operational fund is there, but I will say our capital fund, our building piece, is funded through our SPLOST program, which we are thankful, so thankful to our voters who vote every 5 years to keep that SPLOST tax in, because then that allows us, through everybody's spending, in that sales tax piece, to then fund the capital improvements that we need to make to keep these buildings, as we talk, safe, dry, and warm is kind of our code words, but to keep everything in an optimal learning condition. So that is kind of in that separate space. So like Kim said, everybody has a separate millage rate. And so our school board we did hearings on this and on the budget. We were able to actually reduce ours a little bit. It's different. Everyone kind of comes and goes in that same space. We're happy to keep ours low in the metro area. But again, knowing we also have that separate SPLOST fund that we do construction out of, which is also extremely helpful. And we're extremely grateful to our taxpayers for allowing us to have that.
Thank you. Now, let me ask you both. I was doing research on the food, and it was a time that when the school came and when they had lunch, when it was over, they had to throw everything in the trash. But I think they passed something this year where the kids, that food can be given to the kids. Is that happening down here in Fulton County, in the Fulton County School District? Or is it just going to the trash?
Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I do not know the details around that. I don't know the details around that, how we dispose of food that is unused.
Okay.
That's your question, right? I want
Yes.
to make sure I understood your question. Okay.
Okay, let me ask you, Kim, because I used to volunteer over, I think, the school in College Park off of Main, where they had the pantry in the school, where the kids was taking the food home, and after the pandemic, things changed. Have you guys thought about putting that back in the school over there or in the school? I thought it was I thought it was great. Have you guys thought about doing that?
So I'm not sure which school you're talking about, but we still have.
I think it was College Park, a school off of Main Street.
So at McLaren, so at McLaren, if you're talking about McLaren off of Main Street, we are now rebuilding that into what we call our middle college. So no students is in that building.
Okay.
All of those students have left that building, and now they are into their traditional high schools that they're zoned for, and they're in what we call our in-school academies, if that's the school. And then I'll let Miss Katie Gregory talk about the school itself. But the food pantry itself, we have a food pantry in College Park Elementary. We have one in Brookview Elementary. We have backpacks that go home with the kids over the weekends for those who need it.
Okay.
We have a safe center in 2 locations. See, Katie wants to jump in too. So
Okay.
I won't get all of it, but we do offer those types of programs, Damita. So
Okay.
it's not that after the pandemic, we still have a need in our schools to service our kids. So that pantry, those pantries are alive and well. And some of them have refrigerated foods. McNair Middle School has a refrigerated item. So it's not just dry food, it's canned
Okay.
food, it's refrigerated, nice food.
Okay. Okay.
Miss Gregory, Katie.
Miss Gregory.
Yes, sorry. So, well, and she teases because I've already taken so many partners. We have the Unido Center at Tri-Cities, which is the safe centers. And there's also one at Banneker. But it is full wraparound services. So they have a food pantry, like you mentioned, and it is all types of goods. It is refrigerated, it's canned goods, it's fresh fruit and vegetables. They have a laundry service in there. They have washers and dryers. They keep laundry, they keep hygiene products. They have some basic health things. I think Tylenol and that kind of small medical type of pieces. They have a clothing closet. Kids can come through there. They have what do they call it? A chill out space where, if the cafeteria is too loud or kids just need a break, they have a whole area that's just very calming that they can come in and catch a break during the day. Most recently I was there and they said, kids that have to work after school can bring their work uniforms in and they will wash them during the day. And if they have a chance, they'll even drop them with them at whatever class so that they have that and they can go to work. So basically you have no excuse not to be in class. You don't need to run home and wash your uniform. We got it right here for you. That's what they said. They have nail glue, lash glue. They're like, again, you have no need to go home. We will set you up. And their cosmetology center, I think once a month they do haircuts and hairstyles and all of the pieces. But again, it's just because we know there's so many different things that are pulling at our kids and we really need them to be in the building to be in front of instruction. So we provide all of those services there. And we have great partners. And I know my daughter will bring home from Hateville Elementary small bags of vegetables. So even though it is not a full out pantry, we have partners that will send some fresh fruit or some fresh veggies home. And she comes in and surprise, Mama, I want you to cook this. And I'm not always sure even sometimes what it is. But we absolutely want to meet all the needs of our students. We know that it's not just about sitting in that classroom 100%. There are things that cloud your mind and things and concerns that will draw that brain power away. And so we want to take care of that too. So like I said, there's a full center like that at Banneker. I'm just in and out of the one at Tri-Cities a lot. And again, every partnership, and they actually take that services out into the community. So once a month, they will target part of the community and they will take all of their supplies and all of the stuff and a couple of teachers to go with them so they can bring food and clothes and laundry detergent and all of that out into the community because transportation is also a big barrier. So if you can't get to us, we're going to come to you. And they take some teachers. So if you need some help on some homework or there wasn't something you were getting and you just can't stay after school because you have to get on that bus, then we're just going to come out and we'll tell you about it too. So we are truly trying, and again, to provide every service so that all of our kids have their absolute best chance when they're in that classroom.
Well, thank you. Y'all told me before we come, got some great news. You did a ribbon cutting at a school. Was this school in East Point or College Park?
It was at College. Yeah, it was at College Park. But what we did was we launched our first mobile learning STEM bus. We're also ordering a second one. And what it is that it's a bus that will go out into the community. And we've been doing this around the pandemic because kids weren't coming to school during the pandemic. So we went into the communities with a bus that we partnered with Kennesaw State University at first, but now we've converted one of our yellow limousines into what we call our mobile bus. And one of the things we're end up doing is they're looking at ways to maybe create some sort of jingle around the bus. So when it comes in, like the ice cream truck, they're like, wait a minute, here comes the bus. But it's about learning. And the bus, my granddaughter actually got to see it in full action. We were there and she was learning about magnetism. And that same week, we're at the event and she goes, oh, wait a minute, I'm learning this. And I said, oh, okay. So it's nice to inspect what you see happening in real time. So we got a chance to see it in full action, and it was about what they were learning that week. So sometimes you might have tutoring or learning that happens that does not mirror or strengthen what's happening in the classroom.
Okay, let me ask you, because you're going to probably get this question. How will that bus be used on the north side and the south side? And why can't you get one for the same bus for the north side and have one for the south side, have two buses?
Well, I'm going to let Katie answer that because I answered part of it already. Go ahead,
all right, Katie.
Well, no, and I think that would be the grand design. So this bus is on our side to speak of, and it is. And I think that's the beauty of the mobile space. So it is when we have it serving classrooms, and this was one of this beautiful intentional things that I love, that I feel like I see in Fulton County schools all the time. When they know they're going to a school, and it is not just the bus part is great, but they're like, this is Wi-Fi and power. And then we have all of these tents and stations that we set up as well. So if they're at a school, they will actually do some pre-assessments with the students that they're going to target to see what area they need support in. So then when those kids come out and they have a little sticker on, they know if you are, what we just saw was like plant cells and animal cells, and you weren't quite getting plant cells. Well, if you walked up to that booth and the teacher behind that booth saw your sticker, they would work with more intentionality to help you really get the plant cells, because they could see that's something that student wasn't quite grasping. So while it is great just to do some fun experiments and expose them to this, we've taken it to that next level of what's the targeted learning for those kids in the classroom. And now we're going to give you a hands-on experiment because we know that's what you need. But yes, and like I said, we did put in an order for a second one. The first one, we have done so many iterations. They went through this whole project with a program we have in Fulton County Schools called Design Thinking. And part of it, when we did First Day Fulton, they were interviewing parents of, if we had a bus that was going to learn about things, what would you like to learn about? And science kept coming up. Well, what day of the week is good for you? And everybody kind of said weekends, because weeknights, when you get home from work, nobody wants to go back out, or I don't. Let me just say, I won't speak for everyone, but that was the feedback. So they started with an intentionality. And so I think we have done so many iterations to the bus to make so many tweaks. When we went on, there's a handicap accessible lift on the front of the bus. And they're like, oh, we just put that in because that was some feedback of, hey, there's students that couldn't access this. So they're like, we built that in. So I think we have spent so much time on this one to get all the little parts and pieces right. And we've put in the order for the second one. So this next time, hopefully, it'll just be the smoother transition. So then we can have two to spread. And I'm hoping, like I said, when we have our teaching museums on both sides as well, north and south, that provide amazing field trips and amazing supplemental materials for our teachers that kind of get sent out. This could just be something that can kind of be reserved for classes, if there's a big science lesson or something that really needs some good experiments or kids need help grasping this topic, you can reserve the bus and it can come up. But then, like Kim said, it's a great outreach to the community. They've already taken it. I think that the College Park Housing Authority, they'd already done kind of a good run over there on a Saturday and just out there to see how much engagement that does and how they can make that work better, to let everybody know and what time of day. So I think a lot of it, we're just in the slow start just to make sure we work out all the kinks, so to speak. And so when the second one comes off the presses, we'll just be ready to run and supplement to just be able to reach even more kids.
Okay.
And
Let me ask you.
Damita,
Yes,
the other
yes,
thing
ma'am.
is about the bus is that we are already targeting areas where we know we need that bus, no matter what community they're in. That bus works, as often as we need it to. That's why we pay for the gas, make sure the tires are
Okay.
well oiled, so they can go wherever they need to. So we're already looking at how we're going to use the one bus throughout the district. So when we get the second one, we'll be able to add to that. And then once we see exactly the value of that, we can then perhaps as a board discuss, should we get more of those buses or are they effective? But we wanted to do something that was very different, that was sustainable, that we could track the success, as Ms. Gregory said, around our students. So like, is this helping them learn what we need them to learn when it comes to any types of testing, but also the basics level of their education?
Okay. Let me ask you, you guys, and you both can answer this question. What are you doing with the teachers to bring up the reading level of the kids? Everybody kid don't like to read. So what are you doing? I know back in the day, when my child was coming, they had the pizza. And if you read so many books that week, those kids look forward to going and getting their personal pizza from Pizza Hut. What are you doing to help these kids that can't read, bring their reading level up? You want to start, Katie? You can start. What are you doing?
Well, I think this right now is our prized possession of the science of reading and implementing that into our letters training, as we call it. So basically, like you said, I was a child who got some free pan pizzas. I absolutely remember that. And so what this is goes back to a phonics and a phonetical way of learning. So during the pandemic, with our federal funds, CARES Fund, ESSER funds, however you want to name it, we invested in this program. Dr. Looney brought this up, saw the science of reading, what was being formulated as what actually helps children excel in reading. And we brought a program off of that, and we started training our teachers in this, and we started implementing this towards the end of the pandemic. And we have seen amazing growth in our literacy. And one thing back to of what are we doing for teachers? One of the things we also did was we also gave stipends for teachers going through this development. And so professional development is a way to retain our teachers. But I think at the end of the day, teachers just want to see the kids learn, and you want to see those lives changed. And I feel like these programs, they're seeing that in reading. Our milestone scores are better than what they were pre-pandemic. So we have regained and are accelerating in that. And so we continue to talk about this. We have talked to the state legislature about this. We've been on panels. We've been GSV, the Georgia School Board Association panels. We've done some national statement. We're implementing this with fidelity because you kind of have to do all of it to make it work. And we're seeing the gains, and it's very exciting. So we're very excited about where our literacy is going with our kids and getting them to read. So
what that means is that around the United States, people are still suffering from low literacy rates in their school district. Our district is up to, in some areas, surpassed, in some areas back to 2019 levels, according to our Georgia milestones data. And when Ms. Stewart and I were in Washington, D.C., we got a chance to talk to our U.S. senators as well as our House representatives, just about the science of reading. And as Ms. Gregory said, the fidelity of it. It is implementing the program, making sure you have literacy coaches in the buildings, making sure that you're providing your teachers and educators with stipends. And one of the things we learned this week was that we also, because of the science of reading, our teachers can get 2 graduate level courses. We have it certified as a program, credits for graduate level courses. So when we talk about what we're doing for teachers, I believe that's one of the things that keep our teachers coming back. And when I walk in a building and those teachers are saying, my kids are learning, they have seen a difference with the letters training. At first, they were very resistant, right? Like, I'm not really sure, you're adding something on to us. But now that they start to see the results of it, everyone wants in, right? Everyone wants in around the state and around the nation about what we're doing. And one of the things we're really careful about, as Dr. Looney states a lot, is look, everyone might say they're using the science of reading, but you need to be able to make sure that your infrastructure is strong and to make sure you're continuously building on that. And you're just not using the program, but you're adding all of the other financial resources that's necessary to make it successful. What I suspect and expect is that we will be the leader in 3rd grade literacy in a few years. That's what I think.
All right. Let me ask you something, Kim, and I'm going to give you both a chance. You hear a lot of people talking about we need to go to the council meeting to get, I'm going to use Westlake changes or Tri-City changes. I know that falls under the school, the schools fall under the school board. So could you kind of both explain so people can get some clarity on that? Local government can't go into the school board and tell the school board what to do, just like the school board can't tell them what to do. Is that correct?
Yes, that's actually correct. So the local school board is its own local government and our own local body. And with that, if a school may reside in several cities, we have 8 that we represent. And in those, more than 8, but it's 14 across top and bottom. But in those cities, our schools may reside in the city that it sits in, but the school district is responsible for that particular school. So if there was a change that needed to happen at Westlake or Tri-Cities or Banneker or Langston Hughes or Creekside, it doesn't matter. That needs to come through the school board, and it comes through the school district. And Ms. Gregory, would you like to add to that as well?
No, I think that's a very succinct way. And I like that you put we're all partners in the same sense. And again, too, everybody wants the best for their constituents. So, but yes, the things that are with the schools, with our properties, with our buildings, our attendance zones, those are all made by our governing body. So we'd be happy to hear those comments at public meetings.
One of my favorite comments are, the kid zoo is going over the yard on the street. Can you come cut it? That's ours. That's our property, right? So the kid zoo and the weeds should not be growing over the sidewalk so people can't walk by. So those are some of the things that we do. And then this year, I mentioned that because we've added extra millions of dollars this year towards our maintenance programs to ensure that the buildings and the outside of those buildings are done a little bit more efficiently.
You just stole my question because I was, Kimberly, back in, and I'm going to use what I know. Back in 2009, when Westlake opened, the new Westlake, that school, outside of that school, and I haven't been over there in a couple of years, but that outside was immaculate. Flowers, the grass was green. And Kim, you didn't even see gum on the sidewalk. Is that correct? They were out there picking up the gum. So I know that it also takes the booster clubs to take care of this. How are you guys trying to get on to have the parents come in and help also? Because I often hear, Well, the school up on the north look good, and our schools don't look good. So
Well, let
Kelly,
me tell
go
you,
ahead.
we make sure that we keep the grass cut, right? We keep it trimmed. But when it comes to beautification of each one of those, we have a small budget because where most of our budget goes to, our students. And by law, we have to make sure we're using our public dollars in the appropriate way. So in some of our schools, they may look different on the outside because, as you just mentioned, they may have a PTA, a PTO, or a booster club, or some other partnership with their parents' organizations that come and donate their time. And then also, it would be really helpful if we could get continue to get strong partnerships in the cities in which we represent. So if a new business comes in, I know Home Depot, Office Supply, they donate a lot to our school systems today. Coca-Cola, as they continue to come in to our communities, then require them possibly to partner with the schools, and maybe that could be part of what they donate and keep up annually, not just come one time, but every 6 months or so on and so forth, and realize that we are in Georgia and it rains a lot here. So it may need to be pruned a little bit more often than other states.
So I'm going to say this, and I use this. We got a big vendor that takes care of our landscaping in the city of South Fulton. So if this big vendor is getting $1 million to take care of the landscaping, I would think that we should try to get them to be a partner with our school to go lay some flowers. They can go lay some flowers. It's not going to cost them much to do wholesale flowers and keep the schools in our city beautified, just like you would see East Point over there in Camp Creek. Very nice landscaping. I'm throwing that out there. Let me ask you a question. How do we, you got a Facebook question. How do we slow down speeding bus drivers? Ooh. And I'm going to give you this because Kim, me and you have talked about this for years, where in my subdivision, the school buses come through, and I use the term like they're on the 210 out there in California. And then the school buses, if it's a cul-de-sac, instead of them going down to the end of that cul-de-sac and turn around, you know what they do? They'll stop in the middle of that intersection in that street, and then they'll bag that bus up. Unacceptable. How can we hold these bus people accountable?
What I would say is that you could send an email to the bus transportation around, or call them about a bus specifically. Our yellow limousines have a number on it. You could call with that specific number. And as it relates to a speed bump, we can't put a speed bump, as we talked about property, into a neighborhood because it doesn't belong to us. It's not our land. And we don't own that property to be able to add a speed bump. Speed bumps come through the community, depending on the community, GDOT and or the city, if it's owned individually.
Okay,
Ms. Gregory had something else.
Ms. Gregory, come on, Katie.
Well, no, and I appreciate, and like you said, I think that in the moment kind of feedback, I agree with Kim over, we can fix what we know about. So I appreciate, yes, the bus number, as much information on that. But also I think about how we are training. And again, there's always the exception to these rules. All of our board got on. We actually have this, it makes me want to say virtual reality, this big bus trainer that we are one of, I think maybe the only district that has one of these that is set up like the school bus. It has screens around you about 270 degrees, and our bus drivers have to get time in this simulator that also will let them see when they stop. It will show them from above how close to that stop sign are they? How did they make turns? Did they, do that well in a virtual world? So I think too, like you said, you can never account for everyone's behavior, and we absolutely want to know when things aren't done properly. But on our side, we are trying our best to train them in unique ways and get them comfortable in that to have our bus drivers, because again, similar to teachers, bus drivers was something that are hard to kind of come by. Like we are just now kind of getting up to full staff. we were provided with that our buses just in standard bus routes drive 1 million miles a day. So that's not counting field trips and band and all of those fun football things that go on. Just taking kids to and from school is 1 million miles a day. So we want everyone to be safe. We have a great Fulton's finest for those bus drivers that are exemplary, that do provide, pass all of their testing and are great in their exams. So we're trying to incentivize and have great rewards for those that are doing it above and beyond. So I think those are some of the wonderful ways that we're trying. But like I said, for the times that doesn't all work, then absolutely, we want to know about that too. And we want to be able to handle that and bring those folks up to our high standards.
Okay. I got, because I want to get to you and Kim's, the great things that's happening in Fulton County School District. And we down to less than 15 minutes. But I got three questions. And this question, the first question is a yes or no. Do school buses have GPS?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That can they monitor the speed of the bus, how fast the bus is going?
I don't know that.
I don't know that either.
Okay. Okay. How can teachers get raises?
So this year that just passed, we raised their salary 7.1%. And also we just last week gave them $90.30 because of our graduation rate, all-time high, 90.3.
Okay.
So, the teachers are funded through the state and through the school system. So as well as we can, we value our teachers, we try to pay them, and we want to pay them as much money as they earn. Our teachers also, if they are vested, have a retirement fund that never expires. So when they retire, they will always get a paycheck, right? So we use that as a hiring practice in places sometimes as well. So we are coming up on another budget cycle. We're starting it right now, very initially, to look at what allotments are and what that means. But the fact of the matter is that, Damita, our student population is decreasing. People are having less kids. I mean, I have 3, my friend has 1. The kids who are in their 20s and early 30s are deciding not to have any. We have a lot of families that are dual income and no kids. So the school system relies on the number of students that's in the building, right? Throughout.
Okay. I got you. Okay, I want to hear about these good things that's coming. And Katie, I want to give it to you to tell me what's good is coming over in your district, or just not district, but Fulton County schools as a whole.
So recently, I think the most exciting things I've taken part in, we did our official ribbon cutting for the new Conley Hills Elementary, which is kind of under construction. They had one little wall up, but that's very exciting. That's been something that was out of those SPLOST dollars and a couple SPLOSTs before, but we're finally seeing that transpire, and that's going to be an amazing, beautiful building for those. Like I said, the ribbon cutting that we talked about with the STEM bus, our graduation rate that Kim mentioned. I think some of the most exciting stuff for us is when we are actually seeing the academics, that our milestone numbers are back very high from the pre-pandemic, that we have the highest graduation rate we've had, and we've had that. I think we've graduated, this is our 3rd year running of a highest ever. So we like that track record. We want to keep that going. Like we were talking on the bus, it was great at the board meeting. I think this month we passed funding for more air conditioned buses. That didn't go right. I appreciate speed, but we're also working to get them air conditioned because, like you said, in that good South, the rain and then the heat, it gets really hot in some of those spaces. So I think just seeing, like I said, we're working even through on the north side with just the different constructions, working on our athletic facilities and upgrading, putting in some turf in those spaces so they can be utilized year round. Just the continual improvements of our buildings, I think has been exciting, and working and planning through those. Like Kim mentioned, we're about to start into a new allotment cycle, a new budget cycle. And that's always a good time to tweak where we can see and what's going on, what those allotments and enrollment is anticipated to be, where those dollars need to go. As we kind of see, we always have a good margin of error that gives us some to, like she mentioned, this last cycle, we were able to push more money to maintenance, because I agree with you. I love a home improvement show. And one of the first things they do is that curb appeal. So I agree, flowers and grass and all that. And yes, our PTAs and our partnerships with businesses are important, but for us and our maintenance, we want to make sure we're on top of our game too. So as we look at what those things look like in our budget to see where we can identify things we want to put some more support behind, those are always exciting conversations.
And you have Tri-City High School, so I'm gonna tell you, they have the best production.
You want to talk about this?
Yeah, come on and talk about it, Katie.
So I am very excited. I was at Fences, and then I was up there, I think, all like 3 out of 5 days last week. So Fences was breathtaking. I took my children with me who loved it. My daughter was convinced that Brennan, who was playing the dad, was just a terrifying person. And I was like, oh no, sweetie, that's what acting is. And so I was able to convey to him that I was like, you, sir, on par. My daughter was terrified. So he portrayed so well. Those kids are so talented. I'm so excited that that's their competition piece. I fully expect them to be before the board for us to be congratulating them on their wins. They're so talented. And then I was able on Friday night, they had a benefit concert with Miss Juanita Kalukongo, who came from Tri-Cities and is now on Broadway. She went from Tri-Cities to Juilliard to Broadway. And so she came back and sang and was just also breathtaking. But the highlight, she did a duet at the end with a 10th grader who, I'm so sorry, her name escapes my brain at this moment. But it was just the talent that comes through those programs is amazing. And it's just so very exciting to watch them develop. And Freddie Hendricks is a fantastic resource that they have there. And he just pulls that from those kids. It's an exciting program. Thank you for bringing it up. I don't know how I didn't tell you.
and that's okay. Thank you for bringing the Broadway play Juilliard. As I was looking at this morning on that to get tickets, and I was in Lion King. So since you say that's a Tri-City person, I'm going pick those tickets. Kimberly, give us what you got good come over here in the district that you represent.
Oh my goodness! So Katie took most of the good stuff, but hold on. So we are rebuilding SL Lewis. So SL Lewis celebrated their 50th year anniversary this year. They've been a school for 50 years. And we had this amazing celebration at SL Lewis. And guess who showed up?
Who?
Jermaine Dupree, who went to SL Lewis in the 3rd grade. It was a surprise.
I'm going to have to stop you because I'm not from here and I don't have a clue what school you're talking about. So where's the school at?
It's in South Fulton. And it's off of Conley Drive, off of Flat Shoals. You make a left, you go straight. It's sits in the middle of a nice community, and it's nestled into all these homes.
Okay, got you.
So the school has changed dramatically since it first opened, and the first principal's children were there, and they had a bench that she had that they gave her when she retired. And it had SL Lewis all on it. Now that was awesome to see. First of all, Jermaine Dupree was so funny because they found a yearbook. Our amazing archive system keeps archives of all of the things that happens in Fulton County schools. So this is a plug. If you have any material this year, last year of Fulton County schools, please take it to our archives. They archive those things so that they can bring them back out in these time capsules. And a yearbook is just one of them. I mean, now you might have videos or films or things like that. That's happening. So it was important because we next year will start to take our students from SL Lewis, put them into another building as we rebuild SL Lewis. So that's why that was a really nice event And then also we're opening up the Promise Career Institute right off of Main Street in College Park. And what we're doing is Fulton County Schools is taking advantage of the high school option B. And what that means is that a student will be able to graduate with a high school diploma and 2 technical career tracks as well. And so most of the lowest median income for those jobs are $55,000. So we're opening up that school next school year, next August, and they're now accepting applications. So students that are in the 9th and 10th grades, please apply as well. We have a limited number of seats that are occupying that place. And then at our College and Career Academy, again, we have animation as a pathway there. We've had audio visual. Our students are doing major productions as well, construction, culinary arts. We have a teaching as another pathway there. And we have the unmanned, which is the drones. We have that system there as well. So a lot of the Delta pilots come to our aircraft training facility just to train on our facility. So we spend a lot of money in training, as Katie mentioned, about bus drivers, and now we do the same thing for our aircrafts as well.
Okay, let me ask you, back in the day when I was coming up, we had we call it vocational, where you had auto, painting, cooking. I know Banneker has is it Banneker that has the auto vocational school over there, Kimberly?
It is. It's called the College and Career Academy. It's on the other side of Banneker. So
Okay.
it's it take a little bridge over. It's on the backside in Union City. Yes.
Okay, so have you guys thought about moving that to another school or just keep it over in Banneker?
Oh, wait a minute. CT, we call them Career Technical Agricultural Education, and that exists in all of our schools.
Okay, cool.
So
Okay.
it may be a different type. And this year we started pushing it down to K through 5. So in the last couple of years during the pandemic, we started introducing students to middle school to certain types of careers. So we have at 6th grade, they have an exploration where they look at what skills or what kind of things is a child interested in. And then we align that to the high school feeder school that they would possibly go to. So in Banneker, they have Banneker High School, not the Career Academy. They have 3DE. So if a kid was in entrepreneurial, into business, then they might want to go to 3DE. But if they were into art or cosmetology, they might want to go to Tri-Cities because they have programs there. So we're doing that in all of our schools, and we're pushing it down to K through 5, because what we found is that, after the pandemic, most of the kids, they may not want a traditional job, right? They may be great at science and math, but they know they can take that science and math, and now they can go help with windmills if they like the way the wind blows, or they can go to cars and automotive. They figure out exactly what that piece is that goes into a car. If they're interested into technology, even technology and hair skills, those are always evolving, but it takes the creativity and it takes you willing, as Katie said earlier, about design thinking, designing what it is you want. And our goal is for our kids to already be able to solve for problems that do not exist today, right?
Right. Okay. Let me ask you, I know Hapeville has a charter school. Katie, how many charter schools do Fulton County have right now?
Well, and that can be kind of a tricky question because you kind of have different levels. So
Okay.
Fulton, under the Fulton County, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I know in our area, there are several, but there are a lot that are state charters that
Okay.
we actually don't have the authority. We do not see those applications. We don't approve and we don't assist that. And I think one of the big things to know with charter too is charter schools have their own board. So once we have approved and we review a charter and we check in on, we are not over those day-to-day operations. So I know I drive past a lot of them around here. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but a lot of those, some of those are county charters, but a lot of those are also state charters.
Okay. We got 5 minutes and then I'm gonna give you a couple. 1 minute to do your closing, but I got to ask you, how do Fulton County deal with the special need kids in the school system? Kim,
I think-
or Kim or
Who
Katie?
wants to start? I was gonna say, we have a lot of programs in every school, and I think that is a very broad topic that we have through a lot of the federal regulations to develop plans that meet the needs of the students, that work with the teachers. We have schools set up within, like I said, every school has its different abilities, and we meet the needs of those kids in each school. I think Kim can speak to it from a broad level. But usually, like I said, I think those kids are being met in all their home schools, depending on the needs of that student. If they're greater than, we have the staff that can work with those families to find them an appropriate place, but we will always meet the educational needs of those children.
Right.
We have federal legal requirements that we have to follow, right? So we do our best to follow those, but teachers are a shortage. So one of the things that the superintendent and the chief chief HR, Dr. LaCava, brought to us was, look, we need to pay an additional stipend to those special ed students, teachers that come in. We also have invested in other academic programs that help support our kids, focusing on writing and reading as well. So we've done a lot of those things to bring in proven techniques that help with our kids who are special needs. And they do come in varying degrees. It used to be that special needs was maybe a small category of maybe 20 things. And I don't want to belittle it, but it was 20 things. Now that has widened so far. And one of the things that when we were at the United States Capitol, we said, look, we want you to fully fund those federal programs. By law, you say we must do these several things. And by law, they are supposed to federally fund it at 40%, but they haven't, right? And it's called IDEA. So that is left on the taxpayers in the city and counties in which you exist to make sure that those services are provided to our students.
Okay. A question, and then we down to the last 3 minutes. Somebody sent a question about what about coding in the school?
What about, do we have it?
Do you have coding in the school?
Yes.
Okay.
We do.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Since I got Katie, I'm gonna give you your last minute of closing, and then we'll go to Kimberly.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate all of your insightful questions. I appreciate the questions from your listeners. And I think what I would say in closing is just continue to ask questions, continue to ask them of your teachers and your schools. And what can you be proud of that your student did today? And what can you be proud of in that building? And how can you show joy to your kids and what they're learning? And that education piece is important to you and important to them. And I think that getting that parent involvement and that student involvement to know that they are happy to be in our buildings, then we just get the super privileged piece of supporting that with policy, with the dollars in the budget, and hiring good teachers, keeping those teachers happy and developed, and just continuing to lead the way. That was one of the things Ms. Dove set for our board as president, that not only do we want to be leaders in Georgia, but we want to be national leaders. And I think when you have that aspiration, then you're going to look at no stone goes unturned. We want to polish everyone, and we're going to take those kids to the next level, no matter where they are, what your zip code is. We're going to have all of those academics in place. We're going to get them to what the challenges they need to meet, support them how we can. So we just want everybody to be able to talk about the exciting things going on in all our schools and the exciting things these kids are learning and doing in all our schools. So thank you for the opportunity to share those things.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you so much for having us here. It's been fun and relaxing for us. So one of the things I want to say is that each board member has a monthly community meeting. And my next community meeting is on November 14th at 6:30 p.m. at Gillette Elementary School. You can visit in person or virtually. And then also, if you have questions about what we're doing on the board, you can visit us in person, online, or your local cable channel as well. our next Fulton County Board meeting is November the 9th at North Learning. And then our next meeting is Thursday, November 16th at the South Learning Center in Union City. Just follow us at fultonschools.org on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the traditional website to see what's really happening. So if you want the truth, reach out to us. Our email address and our phone numbers are readily available, but give us at least a few hours to respond.
Thank you. And Miss Katie Gregory.
Yes, ma'am.
This was a question that came up with Miss Dean. Would this be the first graduation that you would attend at Tri-City is this year?
So I went in May. No, so I've done around. I actually
Okay, this is your second one.
This will be my second. I went to 6 graduations. I did
Okay,
Banneker,
awesome.
Tri-City, Hateville Charter,
Hey,
North Springs, Riverwood, and Skyview. are all
Okay, you don't have to say no more. You don't have to say no more. There you go.
I'm about celebrating.
Let me
She's
tell- I
on
wanna-
top of you, Damita.
What'd you
She's
say,
on top of
Kimberly?
you.
Oh,
With
yeah,
that,
she is. I want to thank you for taking my call. We look forward to seeing great things out of Fulton County Schools in the school board. I'm not a fan of the north side, east side, because we all under one umbrella.
Yes, ma'am.
So we look forward of the next school board members coming aboard and hearing from them. Again, I want to thank you so much for being on Take a Stand. Have a great day. And we're going to be watching you too. Thank you so
thank you
much.
so much. Have a marvelous
Thank you.
Monday.